New 72 Radio, the voice, views, and visions of the collective.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Burger, and I'm with ComputerDiva, and welcome to Diva Talk. Tonight is our second episode that we've gone live with on Facebook, and I'm really excited to be doing this. So, Diva Talk is produced by a company called New 72 Media, specifically New 72 Radio, and Kelly Lair is our producer behind the scenes running the show, and without her, this would not be taking place. So, thank you very much. She is the technical wizard who is making this all happen. I appreciate you, Kelly. So I have a few things that I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about a meeting I went to last night and our keynote speaker and just kind of how marvelous the message was. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk a little bit about a question that a client sent me yesterday, and it's a very relevant question, and it fits right into a couple of things that I'm about to unveil in my business, and then we'll talk about a few other miscellaneous things. If anybody has any questions for me, feel free to mark those in the comments. You know, ask me a question. I'm looking at the screen here. I can see what you're writing, so I am happy to answer any questions you may have. We are going to try and keep this brief at about 30 minutes or less. So I'm going to dive right in. So the first thing I want to talk about tonight is I am a member of a networking group called WEO. WEO stands for Women's Entrepreneurs Organization, and it is headquartered in Clark County, Washington, which is right across the border from Portland, Oregon. Vancouver, Washington, to be exact. So we have monthly meetings, and last night our keynote speaker was a woman by the name of Kim Nelson, K-Y-M-M Nelson, and she is the owner of a company called the Center for Conscious Leadership. And the message that she had for us all was really kind of fascinating. And the reason I want to talk about this is because it's really timely, and it kind of fits into what's going on in the world right now. So she talked about, obviously, conscious leadership, but she talked about kind of how we as entrepreneurs can be aware of what's going on in the economic world and kind of fine-tune our businesses to serve those people out there that are actually driving the economy. So she started out her talk by kind of talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you know, most of us have probably heard about this. We learned this in probably high school, college if you went to college. But there's a basic hierarchy of needs that we all need to kind of go through as we're living our lives. And of course, way at the bottom tier of our needs is it's the basic needs: food, water, warmth, rest, and then right above that comes security and safety. So without getting those needs met, we have to have those needs met before we can move on to the next tier. So if we don't have food or air or water, we're not going to progress up the chain at all. So once we've achieved all of those, we then kind of progress up the ladder to what they call the belongingness and love needs. And those are basically intimate relationships and friends. So we have our basic needs met. Now we can meet our relationship needs. And then we go into what they call the esteem needs, a feeling of accomplishment, a little bit of prestige. Maybe you've kind of made it into a certain tier in your career. So you're enjoying some success. And of course, then at the top of the pyramid is self-actualization. Basically achieving your fullest potential, and which includes a lot of creative work. That's kind of where we all ultimately want to be able to rest. Once we've met all of our needs, we want to be self-actualized. We want to be productive, happy human beings who are giving back to society. At least that's kind of my goal, and I think that's most people's goals. So she kind of went over this, and then she equated that to the various economic revolutions that we've gone through in society, starting thousands of years ago with the agricultural revolution. We all started off as hunter-gatherers. We'd kind of go out and hunt for our food, and we'd gather plants, and that was pretty much our day, and it was survival. It was kind of the lowest level of Maslow's hierarchy. We basically did that for survival. Then we kind of moved on to the Industrial Revolution, where we kind of switched from being the hunter-gatherers, and we actually left our homes to go out and work in factories. And that's how we made our money, and we were able to use that to buy our food and buy our shelter. And then we kind of moved up from there into the economic revolution. And that is when we actually started, again, leaving our homes for our jobs, but instead of factory work, a lot of us went into office work, and we existed in cubicle farms. And, you know, we kind of moved up the ladder a little bit, but there's still a lot of maybe discomfort, maybe disharmony, maybe we're not quite happy with what it is that we're doing. But it was the information age. And it was kind of, you know, at the beginnings of when computers started to come along and really revolutionize our economy. And so now we are into what Kim really wanted to talk about. Was we have kind of moved into what is called a purpose-driven economy. And we have gotten to the point where, you know, we are no longer satisfied with the cubicle farms. And we want to know that we each have a purpose for being here, that there's a reason why we've come to this planet, why we've come to this earth. And we want to know what that is. And we truly want to go out there and we want to help others and we want to be successful. And it's not all about who can amass the biggest fortune, who can get the biggest wealth, who can get the most toys. It's all about having a purpose and serving humanity and raising humanity up along the hierarchy so that we're all fulfilled and doing well. And it's the millennials who are, basically the range of 18 to about 35, who are really driving this. They are no longer going to be satisfied with going to work at a corporation and answering to a boss who may not be the most friendly person in the world and is very demanding. They actually want to go out there and they want to make a difference in the world. So we're kind of, transitioning from that, information age into a purpose-driven economy. So I found the talk fascinating, and it made me sit back and think about what is my purpose? Well, I know what my purpose is, but I thought I would share it with all of you. So my purpose is I basically just want to help you love your technology. And if you can't achieve that, then I at least want you to like your technology and get along with it. And that is my goal as the owner of ComputerDiva, is to make your technological experience as smooth and as fulfilling as possible. So that's kind of my purpose in this purpose-driven economy. And I'm one of those people who I spent most of my life working in the cubicle farms and working for corporations. And I am at the point now where I've had my business now for 9 years. I've had it full-time for, 7.5 years. And I will never, ever, ever work for anybody else ever again. I am my own boss. I'm independent. I'm making a difference in the world. And I'll give you an example of the kind of difference that I think I'm making in the world. I brought on a new customer about about 2 weeks ago. She was an elderly woman, and she is the main caregiver for her husband who has Alzheimer's. And she brought me in because she needed to do an upgrade to her iMac because the software was of an age where the browser was so old that when she tried to log into her bank account to do her banking, she got the message that her browser was no longer secure. So she called me, had me in to do the upgrade. Well, in the process of determining whether or not we could do the upgrade, we pretty much discovered that her internet line was way too slow to download the software we needed. So I ran some numbers on the line that she had, what it was costing her, and what we could possibly do to get her a faster line. Bottom line, we were able to take her internet line and her phone line and combine it with one Comcast service for internet and phone and save her about $35 to $40 a month. Win-win situation. So we set up the appointment, and Comcast actually came out today and they installed the line, and I was not there. I was planning on being there after the installation was done to do the upgrade on her computer. So my client called me while the Comcast technician was there, and she was not really happy with where he had decided to put the equipment. She had wanted it in the office, which is on one side of the house. He had wanted to put it in the kitchen, which was really close to the outside switching equipment. He didn't want to have to run a cable all the way around the house from the switching equipment to the office on the other side of the house. She has no crawl space below. And it was pouring rain outside. It is still pouring rain outside, and it's been pouring rain all day. So I think that had something to do with it. So I talked to him. I kind of understood where he was coming from. I said, okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead and install this equipment in the kitchen. And I will be over about 3:15, and I'll take a look at everything, and I'll make sure that the client is happy and satisfied. And so I went there, and she had had kind of a stressful day dealing with her husband. Being a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's is not easy. It's a really difficult job. And I went in and I saw the job the technician did, and it was poor at best. And so I basically, set aside a plan for us to clean it all up. And I'm going back next week with the proper wiring and equipment, and I will redo the job, and we'll make everything look really nice. But that's kind of my goal is, when I was finished with her today, she said, I feel so much better, and I'm feeling calm because you are here, you're in charge of the situation, and you're taking care of it. And I know that once you're done next week, everything will work beautifully and smoothly, and I will have no worries. And that's what it's all about. That's what my job is. My job is to go in there and make the client happy. And I don't like going into a job and doing, kind of a halfway decent job and saying, okay, I did my job, I'll collect my paycheck and off I go. I really care about what I'm doing for my clients. So that's kind of my example of what I want my business to be like. So that's kind of the heart of the purpose-driven technology world right now. So I want to go into another topic. And how are we doing on time? We're doing great. I had a question from a client yesterday. She's been a client for a couple of years, runs her own small business. And her question had to do with, she had gotten an email. And the email, it was basically an article from the magazine Fast Company. Hold on a minute. Come on. There you go. Sorry about that. For those of you who have been listening to my show for the past year that it's been on, you know that my dog likes to wander in and out of the office, and I keep the door closed. So at least once during the show, I'm going to get up and let her inside the office. So That's her. And she will be crawling into her bed, which is right there. She'll be crawling in there pretty soon. So anyway, her name is Putter. Say hey to her if you see her. So anyway, my client had gotten an email. There was an article that was in Fast Company magazine, and the article said, the title of it basically said, "Get ready for your computer to be taken hostage." And, you know, I've talked about this several times on my show and probably in emails that I've sent out to my clients. It's ransomware. And ransomware is going to be the biggest threat for your computer in 2017. And it doesn't have to be a big threat because there are some really simple ways to combat it. But anyway, ransomware attacks are on the rise. And I had a little statistic here. Where is it? Oh, 60% of small and medium businesses who get hit with ransomware will end up going out of business within 6 months. And they'll go out of business within 6 months because they did not take the proper precautions to protect their data. And if you're a small business owner, you know that your data is your lifeblood. And without your data, you literally will go out of business. So basically what ransomware does is it encrypts your data and it holds it for ransom. So ransomware comes into your computer in a couple of different ways. And hey, Nancy, hey, how you doing? Good to see you here. It comes into your computer in a couple of different ways. It could come from an email attachment that you open up and all of a sudden you get a screen that basically states your data has been encrypted and you have to go out and buy this particular debit card. And for, I think the going rate right now for the first round is $500. You buy this card, you come back to the screen, you plug in the numbers, and if you're lucky, the people who created the ransomware will unencrypt your data and get it back to you. Keep in mind, though, I've said this before, these are criminals, and all they care about is getting your money. They really don't care whether or not you get your data back. And they're not the kind of people who say, I'd better do a good job for her and get her data back so she'll come back and do more business with me. That's not the way it works. These are criminals. And so I think what really concerns me about ransomware is the reading in the articles that I've read is the number of public entities and maybe police departments and hospitals that have been hit by this and have actually paid the ransom. And it makes me wonder, why are they paying the ransom? And they're paying the ransom because they don't have proper backups done of their data. And the proper backups are key. And I'm hoping that that I'm still live here because my screen just went blank, and on my iPad here, I'm kind of frozen. But I'm just going to continue and go on as if we were still doing this meeting here. So anyway, so how can you protect yourself against the ransomware? Basically, you want to do, your number one protection is to do online backups. You want to subscribe to an internet-based backup service, and that will ensure that your data gets copied from your computer across the internet through an encrypted connection to protected servers on the other end. Ransomware cannot get to the data that's in an online backup service. It, however, can get to the data that resides on an external backup drive that is connected to your computer through a USB connection. So if the ransomware hits your computer, not only will it encrypt the data on your computer, it's also going to encrypt the data on your backup drive. So an external backup is fabulous. I highly recommend it, but internet-based backup is so much better. And then you also want to make sure that you are probably running some really good antivirus software. And it hasn't been until recently, thank you, Kelly. Kelly let me know everything's good on her end and that we are broadcasting, so that's good to know. So the internet-based backup services definitely will keep your data safe. The external backup drives will get encrypted. So you want to make sure that you're definitely using that internet-based backup service. But what I was saying was that it's only been until recently that we've been able to get antivirus software that will protect you against ransomware. In fact, I'm testing the latest version of Malwarebytes on my computer. It's the first version of Malwarebytes that is a wholly contained antivirus, internet security, and ransomware protection package. In the past, I've used Malwarebytes on all computers that I work on, but it's been kind of a reactive software solution, if you will, and I run it on computers that I think might have been infected with malware. But the latest version, version 3.0, actually works as your entire anti-malware, anti-ransomware, antivirus package. And I'm going to say that probably in the next week or two, I will be releasing some information on how you can get that at a really good price. I will become a reseller for it and will actually be managing the software as well. The other thing that I'll be coming out with is in my Diva Care portal, I'll be coming out with internet-based backup services, so that if you subscribe to Diva Care, we will also be providing you with backup services. And the beauty of those backup services is the fact that it's running in the Diva Care portal, which means it's fully managed. And I'll be able to take a look at your backup processes on a regular basis and know whether or not your backup is actually running. And if it's not running, I can jump right in and do something about it. So that is coming really, really soon. I have a meeting on that tomorrow to kind of start to finalize the details on it. So that's kind of exciting. So, please protect yourself against malware. Do those internet-based backups. And make sure you have really good, strong internet security protection. So with that said, I want to thank my client who actually sent me that email yesterday. I don't like to name names, but you know who you are if you're watching this live. And thank you very much. So we are almost at a half hour. And other things that are happening in the computer world, just a couple of things I want to touch on. Solid state drives are starting to become really, really affordable. So what is a solid state drive? A lot of you have heard me talk about those, but a regular hard drive inside of your computer is like a record player. It's got a little platter that spins around, and then it's got a little arm with a needle, and the needle goes back and forth and finds the data or the programs that you're looking for. So there's a lot of moving parts on it. Failure rates can, be pretty high. So several years ago, they invented solid state drives, and a solid state drive has absolutely no moving parts on the inside of it. So there's no platter that's spinning around. There's no arm with a needle. A lot more reliable, and because there's no moving parts, they are super, super fast. And, you can put a solid state drive in a computer and take your boot up time from a little over 2 minutes down to 10 or 15 seconds. So that's kind of the idea of the kind of speed that they will give you. And so anyway, they're really coming down in price. I'd say about three or 4 years ago, solid state drives came at a price of about $1 a terabyte. $1 a gigabyte. So if you were to buy a terabyte drive, which is 1,000 gigabytes, you'd be paying $1,000 for that drive. Not really worth the price. I bought a 250 gigabyte solid state drive about a week and a half ago and installed it for a client a couple of days ago. And the price is now down to about 25 cents a gigabyte. So that translates into about $250, which is a whole lot more affordable. And for the speed it gives you on your computer, it can really take your computer and give it a couple of years of extra life. So I'm at the point now where just about every new computer or laptop I quote for a client, it's going to have a solid state drive in it. It's just so worth the cost. So that's what I have to say about solid state drives. And then I ran across this news article. It was actually yesterday, and it's wild. It's all about drones. Anyway, in Dubai, they are testing out drones now. I'm going to read for this article I have here. A drone that can carry people will begin regular operations in Dubai in July. The head of the city's Roads and Transportation Agency is announced at the World Government Summit. So it's a Chinese model drone. It's called the EHang 184, has already had test flights, and the drone can carry one passenger. So I saw a little picture of the drone. It almost looks like a little tiny helicopter with a little kind of bubble thing where you sit. And so it'll carry one passenger weighing up to 220 pounds and has a 30-minute flight time. The passenger uses a touch screen to select a destination, and there's no other controls in the aircraft. I mean, you have a touch screen where you say, this is where I want to go, and the drone takes you there. And it's autopiloted by, I guess, a command center. It has reported speeds of up to 100 miles an hour and can fly 31 miles on a single battery charge. So I think that's my humorous part of the show for today. I wouldn't want to be in one of those drones. And you hear the stories of how Amazon is testing drones to deliver packages. And we're going to be like the Jetsons one of these days, where there's all these little drones flying all through the air, and it's going to be a traffic nightmare. But maybe then everybody will be in drones and I can have the freeway all to myself. So anyway, so that is kind of the show for tonight. Hi, Allison. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Nancy, for joining us. And so for now, I am going to sign off. I'm going to say thank you very much to New 72 Radio for providing me with this opportunity of doing the show. Thank you, Kelly Lair. I adore you. And I will see you guys live again in 2 weeks. And in a couple of days, this recorded show will be posted on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can always go back and watch it again if you missed it. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'll see you in a few weeks. Good night.